ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय, गौर प्रेमानंदे। All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru Gauranga, all glories to Sri Prabhupada की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
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 नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरये। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 21, entitled Instructions by Maharaj Prithu, text number 37. माजातु तेजा प्रभवन् महद्दिवि।
माजातु तेजा प्रभवेन् महद्दिवि।
माजातु तेजा प्रभवेन् महद्दिवि।
माजातु तेजा प्रभवेन् महद्दिवि।
Titikshaya tapasa vidyaya cha.
Titikshaya tapasa vidyaya cha.
Titikshaya tapasa vidyaya cha.
Titikshaya tapasa vidyaya cha.
Dedipyamane jitadevitana.
Dedipyamane jitadevatana.
Dedipyamane jitadevatana.
Dedipyamane jitadevatana.
Kule swayam raja kuladvijanam.
Kule swayam raja kuladvijanam.
Kule swayam raja kuladvijanam.
Kule swayam raja kuladvijanam.
Najatu teja prabhaven mahadive.
Najatu teja prabhaven mahadive.
Titikshaya tapasa vidyaya cha.
Titikshaya tapasa vidyaya cha.
Dedipyamane jitadevatana.
Dedipyamane jitadevatana.
Kule swayam raja kuladvijanam.
Kule swayam raja kuladvijanam.
Majatu teja prabhaven maharshibih.
Majatu teja prabhaven maharshibih.
Titikshaya tapasa vidyaya cha.
Titikshaya tapasa vidyaya cha.
Dedipyamane jitadevatanam.
Dedipyamane jitadevatanam.
Kule swayam raja kuladvijanam.
Kule swayam raja kuladvijanam.
Majatu teja prabhaven mahadivi.
Majatu teja prabhaven mahadivi.
Titikshaya tapasa vidyaya cha.
Titikshaya tapasa vidyaya cha.
Dedipyamane jitadevatana.
Dedipyamane jitadevatana.
Kule swayam raja kuladvijanam.
Kule swayam raja kuladvijanam.
Majatu teja prabhaven mahadivi.
Majatu teja prabhaven mahadivi.
Titikshaya tapasa vidyaya cha.
Titikshaya tapasa vidyaya cha.
Dedipyamane jitadevatana.
Dedipyamane jitadevatana.
Kule swayam raja kuladvijanam.
Kule swayam raja kuladvijanam.
Ma, never do it.
Never do it.
Chatu,
Jatu
at any time.
at any time.
Tejaha,
Tejaha
supreme power.
supreme power.
Prabhave,
Prabhave
exhibit.
exhibit.
Maha,
Maha
great.
great.
Riddhivihi, by opulence.
By opulence.
Titikshaya,
Titikshaya
by tolerance.
by tolerance.
Tapasa,
Tapasa
penance.
penance.
Vidyaya,
Vidyaya
by education.
by education.
Cha,
Cha
also.
also.
Dedipyamane,
Dedipyamane
upon those
upon those
who are already glorified.
who are already glorified.
Ajita Devatana,
Ajita Devatana
Vaishnavas,
Vaishnavas
or the devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Or the devotees of the
Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Kule,
Kule
in the society.
in the society.
Swayam,
Swayam
personally.
personally.
Rajakula,
Rajakula
greater than the royal family.
greater than the royal family.
Vijanam,
Vijana
of the Brahmanas.
of the Brahmanas.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas are personally glorified by their characteristic powers of tolerance, penance, knowledge, and education. By dint of all these spiritual assets, Vaishnavas are more powerful than royalty. It is therefore advised that the princely order not exhibit its material prowess before these two communities and should avoid offending them. Please repeat. The Brahmanas and Vaishnavas are personally glorified by their characteristic powers of tolerance, penance, knowledge and education. By dint of these spiritual assets, Vaishnavas are more powerful than royalty. It is therefore advised that the princely order not exhibit its material prowess before these two communities and should avoid offending them. Prabhupada, Sutu Maharaj has explained in the previous verse the importance of devotional service for both the rulers and the citizens of the state. Now he explains how one can be steadily fixed in devotional service. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, while instructing Srila Rupa Goswami, has compared the devotional service to the Lord with a creeper. A creeper has feeble stem and requires the support of another tree to grow. And while growing, it requires sufficient protection so that it may not be lost. While describing the system of protection for the creeper of devotional service, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has especially stressed the protection from offenses under the lotus feet of Vaishnavas. Such offenses are called Vaishnava Aparad. Aparad means offense. If one commits Vaishnava Aparad, all of his progress in devotional service will be checked. Even though one is very much advanced in devotional service, if he commits offenses at the feet of Vaishnava, his advancement is all spoiled. In the Shastras, it is found that a very great yogi, Durvasa Muni, committed a Vaishnava Aparad and thus for one full year had to travel all over the universe, even to Vaikuntha Loka, to defend himself from the offense. At last, even when he approached the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Vaikuntha, he was refused protection. Therefore, one should be very careful about committing offenses at the feet of the Vaishnava. The most grievous type of Vaishnava Aparad is called Guru Aparad, which refers to offenses at the lotus feet of the spiritual master. In the chanting of the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this Guru Aparad is considered the most grievous offense. Gurur Avadnya Shruti Shastra Nindanam. Among the 10 offenses committed against the chanting of the holy name, the first offenses are disobedience of the spiritual master and blasphemy of the Vedic literature. The simple definition of Vaishnava is given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. A person who immediately reminds one of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is a Vaishnava. In this verse, both Vaishnavas and Brahmanas are mentioned. A Vaishnava is a learned Brahmana and is therefore designated as Brahmana Vaishnava. Brahmana Pandita, or as a Vaishnava and Brahmana, in other words, a Vaishnava is supposed to be a Brahmana already, but a Brahmana may not be a pure Vaishnava. When a person understands his pure identity, Brahmajanati, he immediately becomes a Brahmana. In the Brahmana stage, one's understanding of the absolute truth is mainly based on impersonal view. When a Brahmana, however, rises to the platform of personal understanding of the Supreme Godhead, he becomes a Vaishnava. A Vaishnava is transcendental even to a Brahmana. In the material conception of the position of a Brahmana is the highest in human society, and a Vaishnava is transcendental even to a Brahmana. Both the Brahmana and Vaishnava are spiritually advanced. A Brahmana's qualifications are mentioned in Bhagavad Gita as truthfulness, mental equanimity, control of the senses, the power of tolerance, simplicity, knowledge of the absolute truth, firm faith in the scriptures and practical application of the Brahminical qualities in life. In addition to all these qualifications, when one fully engages in the transcendent loving service of the Lord, he becomes a Vaishnava. Prithu Maharaj warns his citizens who are actually engaged in devotional service of the Lord to take care against offense to the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. Offenses at their lotus feet are so destructive that even the descendants of Yadu, who were born in the family of Lord Krishna, were destroyed due to offenses at their feet. The Supreme Personality of Godhead cannot tolerate any offense at the lotus feet of Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. Sometimes, due to their powerful positions, princes or government servants neglect the position of Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, not knowing that because of their offense, they will be ruined. Omajnanandasya Jnanjanashakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikum Vancha Kalpatarobhyasya Krapa Sindhu Vacha Validana Pavane Pyo Vaishnave Pyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachalam pangam langayate giri Yatsupadamaham vande Shri Ram Dinathamidam. Firstly, I'm very happy to be with all of you. Thank you for inviting me to take all of you to the association. It's very inspiring to see so many young children with their parents attending Mangalarati and participating in music study. And make a habit of listening to Srimad Bhagavatam class every day is such a great opulence in one's life. So, in this verse, Prithu Maharaj is warning his citizens not to commit offenses at the lotus feet of Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. I'm sure all of you must have heard many classes, many times, about Vaishnava Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada mentioned here, quoting from Chaitanya Charitamrita, that how the devotional creeper will be destroyed by doing the Vaishnava Prabhupada. Especially Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said this aparad is called Hati Mata Aparad. Hati Mata Aparad means mad elephant offense. So there is a nice garden of creepers, and if you leave a mad elephant into that, and it will within no time that it destroys the whole of the garden. So similarly, our devotional creeper is very, in the beginning stage. And I'm sure each one of us have seen that how they protect the creepers. They not only regularly water the creeper, but also they give some support and they also create a protective system, without which the creeper doesn't go. So this creeper of devotional service has to go all the way up to the lotus feet of Krishna. So it has to be protected. And we have just begun, long way to go. Ado Shraddha, Tata Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anardhani Vritti, Tata Nishta, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava, Prema. These are the 8 stages of perfection of devotional service. So most of us are in the beginning stage of devotional service. Our Shraddha is not fully formed. We go from Shraddha to Ashraddha, and then Ashraddha to Shraddha, Shraddha to Ashraddha, Ashraddha to Shraddha. So many years pass by in this Shraddha stage only. Even though there is Sadhu Sangha is there, even though there is Bhajana Kriya is there. So So to come to the stage of Nishtha is very difficult. After so many years, sometimes it even takes lifetimes to come to the stage of Nishtha. And from the Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhava, even at a Bhava stage one can commit offense. There is only one stage which is freed from offense, that is called Prema stage. That means out of 8 stages, even at the 7th stage one can commit offenses. So it is mentioned, the destructive nature of Vaishnava Prana. We may know this, but how to apply this in our day-to-day life? That's very important. So we have to discuss some fundamental aspects of Vaishnava Prana. If we avoid which, then there is a great protection from Vaishnava. There is no set formula like that as such. Sometimes, devotees describe formulas in terms of, X, Y, Z like that. One has to keep one's heart very simple. What is the simplicity of heart? That I am not better than others. That is the beginning point to avoid Vaishnava. Aparadh starts with a conception that I am better than others. Isn't it? I am better than others. So when I think I am better than others, I want to prove that I am better than others. So how do I prove that I am better than others? Either by speech or by actions. I want to belittle others and prove to them that, you see, I am better than others. Either they want to prove to them or to the whole world that they are better than others. So this is the fundamental point that one has to be, conscious about. Am I better than others? And then one can probably, justify that statement. Yes, I am better than others. See, there are so many people out there. Isn't it I am better than others? There are so many living entities out there. So is it true that we are better than others? We have to assess this. And from material vision, you will find that you are better than others. Because there are so many insignificant, useless, living entities who are doing useless things, and then it seems that you are doing better than them. So obviously you feel that you are better than others. Now we will consider 2 points. Point number 1. Your so-called conception of you are better than others is only material conception, it is only temporary. Even if you are temporarily placed in a higher position than others, since it is a temporary position, you cannot claim that you are better than others. Finished. Over. So you are not better than others. Why? Because it is not going to stay. That so-called higher position is not going to stay forever. So you are not better. If you think you are better than others, in the next life you may be worse than others. What will you do? Can you claim that I am better than others? No. So, from a material point of view, if you see also, they are not better than others, because it is not permanent. Now this is more important, the second point. That is, spiritually are we better than others? No. Answer is no. Why? Why spiritually we are not better than others? What is our position spiritually? We are servants of Krishna. Jivera Swarupa Hoy, Nitera Krishna Das. That is our position. So every servant of Krishna gives a certain pleasure to our Krishna. The purpose of serving is what? To give pleasure to the beloved. So if Krishna is our beloved, we are giving certain service by which Krishna is pleased with us. Now each person, each jiva gives certain pleasure to Krishna. Yes, everybody agrees. Each jiva gives certain pleasure to Krishna. And no one can know how much pleasure another jiva is giving to Krishna. No one can know. Because how much Krishna should be pleased by, it is Krishna's prerogative. You can't demand, Krishna, I am doing this service, so you should be more pleased with me. You cannot say that. Krishna has already proved in the Ramayana, when Hanuman was taking big boulders and putting in the ocean, a small squirrel was also doing service. Hanuman said, why don't you unnecessarily, you are disturbing, you come, you take rest, we will do that. But Lord Ramachandra, he said, no. He's doing his service, you do your service. I'm pleased with both of your service. He didn't say I'm equally pleased. I'm pleased with both of your service. So, how much is pleased by squirrel service, how much is pleased by Hanuman service, only Rama knows. Nobody can say. Like, if you want to compare with a material example, you ask any father who has more children, more than one child. You ask the father, who gives more pleasure to you? The father will tell you that each child will give me unique pleasure. He will never tell you that, this child is giving more pleasure, that child is giving less pleasure. Because, everyone has a certain rasa with the father. Everyone has a certain, exchange with the father, which the father feels very happy about. In the same way, spiritually, each one of us have a certain rasa with Krishna, which is irreplaceable by another person. If it can be replaced, then there is no need of Krishna to wait for all of us, in Vaikuntha. Krishna never replaces our service with somebody else. Remember this. Your service will always be there in Vaikuntha. He will never replace with somebody else. So, what is your problem? You go back and fill in your service, give a unique pleasure to Krishna. And that pleasure cannot be replaced with another pleasure. So that means I cannot claim that I am better than others because I am not able to give the same pleasure the other person is giving. Now, spiritually it is proven that we are not actually better than others. Materially we are not better than others. Spiritually we are not better than others. Then how can we claim that we can be better than others and then try to boss over others? So, philosophically getting convinced and by practice, if one practices humility, then there is no scope to commit offense to anybody. Offensive mentality is actually a mentality. It is not towards XYZ. If you have an offensive mentality, it falls. It naturally falls upon the great people, Vaishnavas. There is a mosquito, you offend a mosquito. It's okay, it's not a big deal. Probably it's not a big deal. It may be a big deal also, we don't know. But it may not be so big deal. But that is a mentality. That mentality is turned towards great personalities, Lord and His pure devotees. Then it creates great catastrophe in one's spiritual advancement. So, it is not that I will offend certain class of people, I will avoid offense to certain class of people. No, that will not work. What works is that you completely remove offensive mentality towards anybody. One has to practice that. So it is said that one should not offend Vaishnavas, so I will not offend Vaishnavas and Brahmanas, but I can freely offend anybody else. That is not going to work. So one has to work from the root level. So, conceptually, we must be convinced that we are not better than others. That is number one. However, you analyze, we just now analyze both spiritually and also materially, we are not better than others. Although it may be, an understanding, but for that understanding to come to practice, one has to. You want to ask something? Yes.
Like what you mentioned here that in terms of comparing materially and spiritually, among the devotees, we understand that materially also they will be well qualified and spiritually also they are well qualified and they are giving pleasure to the Lord. So when we are with other people, that means those who are not practicing Krishna consciousness. So when we are there, then how we can understand that they are also giving pleasure to the Lord?
Giving pleasure to the Lord, I said, constitutionally. Spiritually, I said, everyone gives unique pleasure to Lord, which we cannot give that same pleasure.
So although they may not be exhibiting that quality, but later they may exhibit.
Yeah, because they are actually, all of them are Vaishnavas. All of them actually came from the spiritual world. Temporarily, they may be placed in a lower position than you because they are not practicing Krishna consciousness right now. But their potential is much greater. A mosquito is there. Mosquito may be in a mosquito body right now, but who knows? Prabhupada said, he brought devotees from all over the world to Vrindavan, and then there are so many monkeys. So Prabhupada said, these monkeys, this is their last life. Next life, they are going back to God. Prabhupada said. So it may be probably better to be a hog or a monkey in a Vrindavan than, big rich man in Hyderabad or something. So who knows? We are not the deciding persons. Krishna is the deciding person. So we can't actually think somebody is very low just because temporarily they are in a lower position. I always remember this example, which I will share with you. It gives me a gross vision of how not to compare. Suppose if you are, have you watched Olympic races? Right? Running races. You have not watched, but at least you heard about it. There is something like that. At children, we have also participated. So in these Olympic races, there are tracks for each person. So everybody is situated in his track. And suppose if it is a multiple, layer race, multiple, a 10-kilometer race, let us say, and then the one round is half kilometer. That means how many times they have to go? 20 times. 20 times, whoever comes first 20 times is considered as the winner, 10-kilometer winner, right? Now, 10 people are the final participants. They were all filtered out. Now, each one is taking his position and there is a gunshot, and then now they started running. When you start running, you look into your own track and your own rounds. You will not bother much about others. So let us say after 3-4 rounds, you have a situation where your next fellow is in front of you, the other fellow left side of you is behind you. Can you afford to say that I am better than this, I'm behind this person or I'm ahead of this person? Can you say that? I'm asking, can you say that?
No.
Why you cannot say that?
Don't know which round he is.
Huh?
Which round he is.
You don't know which round you are in. Maybe the person who is ahead of you, seemingly ahead of you, is in the 4th round and you may be in the 5th round. And a person who is seemingly behind you, maybe in 6th round, but he appears to be in the, he appears to be behind you. So can you say you're better? And if you are worried too much about the persons who is behind you, who is ahead of you, who is behind you, then in this process what will happen is that you may lose your track and get into another track. And when you get into another track, you are disqualified completely. You'll be pulled out, finished. There is no scope for you to win the race at all. So it is as much as it is true in this running race, in our life race also it is true. One of the major contributing factor to Vaishnava Aparadha is comparison. I am better than others starts only when you try to compare with others. And we have this mentality so much, comparing mentality. Either you compare with other Vaishnavas or you compare to Vaishnavas, to other Vaishnavas. Who is better? What is your business to decide who is better? Before you ask this question, who is better, what are you gaining by trying to ascertain who is better? What is your business in deciding who is better? Then you may say, no, it is said that, one has to associate with, Vaishnavas, different Vaishnavas who are at different stages. Neophytes have to be, dealt with in a certain way, and the Madhyamadhikaris have to be decided in a certain way. But you are not given a judge position to say who is a neophyte, who is a Madhyamadhikari, who is Uttamadhikari. These positions are based on the qualities that are mentioned. A neophyte means every day new neophyte is called neophyte. Every day he picks up new fights with others. He is a neophyte. Madhyamadikari means he is very careful, unnecessarily, he doesn't entertain anyone. He is very careful whom to associate with, whom not to associate with, whom to offer kripa, kripa upeksha, prema, maitri, kripa upeksha, yakaroti samadhyamaha. So he is very careful. Uttamadikari is that person who offers kripa to everyone without discrimination. So that is Uttamadikari. So by knowing the qualities, you try to associate. Not that you are given a judge position to say he is neophyte, he is Uttamadikari, he is in the middle, he is Uttama, he is Uttama Madhyama, he is Kanishta. You are not given that judge position. You assess your own self. Where do you fit in this? Not to just give judgment to others. So don't compare. So comparison is one of the most, biggest contributing factor to Vaishnava Prabhu. Then what else contributes to Vaishnava Prabhu? General prakalpa contributes to Vaishnava Prabhu. I'm sure every one of us have experience. What is masala topic for us? Not Bhagavatam class. Somebody's negative activities is a masala topic. Hey, you know that? Hey, you know that? It's a very dangerous expression. Isn't it? Either it is amongst the women or amongst the men. You always discuss something negative, something sensation, right? Whether it is true or not true, it doesn't matter. Something sensational is of a subject matter for us, which is actually breeding ground for offenses. Are we supposed to give a judgment upon everyone? Are we supposed to know everybody's situation? Can we know anybody's situation to say something about a person? Why should we decide about somebody's position by hearsay? Have you studied the person? Have you met the person? How many interactions have you had with that person? Without all this, you simply say, oh, that person is like this. Such a bad thing it is. How many people are doing this? In Vaishnava communities, only so many people are doing this. Such a bad thing it is. No gentleman will do this. How can you pass a judgment of someone on someone whom you don't even know? Isn't it an offense? It isn't. It is sad that when Mother Suruchi committed offense at lotus feet of Dhruva, at that time Dhruva was not even a devotee. But later on, because he was a devotee, he received the mercy of the Lord. That offense fructified and she died because of the offense. So this mentality is very, 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 very dangerous. Criticizing mentality. Even before that, Padma Purana says that if you look at a Vaishnava and you don't feel happy, then already offense started. Prabhupada is saying here, why? Because who is a Vaishnava? A Vaishnava means one who reminds of Krishna. You look at a Vaishnava, you don't feel happy. Oh, that expression, oh, it says so much. That means a general Vaishnava who has a tilaka or whatever, even by external appearance, if you look at a Vaishnava, you feel so happy because he reminds you the two lotus feet of Krishna. And then there is a tilaka, and there is a tulasi. You should feel happy. But in spite of seeing a Vaishnava, you are not feeling happy means you must have heard something negative about that Vaishnava. So that is reflected when you look at that Vaishnava. Oh, he has come. That means you heard something negative about that Vaishnava. You don't feel happy, rather you feel either unmoved or you feel negative. That means already the Vaishnava aparat is already there in the heart. So that is where it starts. And the next stage of fructification of that mentality is that you find faults. That is the next stage. You find those faults which are there. The next stage is that you find faults which are not there. That means adding masala. Right? If it goes from one to the other, you see to the last person, the other masala is so much. What the first person has told the second person may be very little, but by the time it comes to the 10th person, it is like a golden. Yes, it happens or not? All of us know this. Because we are rejoicing adding masala in speaking ill about another person, which is actually Vaishnava. So, not being happy by looking at a Vaishnava, trying to find faults with a Vaishnava, which may be there. Some of the faults which may be there in a Vaishnava, which are not considered to be faults, such as Jati Buddhi. Jati Buddhi means, if a Vaishnava is born in a certain low family, socially low family, you may look at that and then say that, he is not from a very good, caste. So that is an aparadha. Or speaking about his previous activities before he became a Vaishnava. Let us say somebody was a butcher or Mrugari. Mrugari was a hunter. He was rejoicing half killing of the animals. But later on he became a Vaishnava. So after, seeing him as a Vaishnava, you try to criticize his previous activity. That is also called Vaishnava. So, or Drishtvai Swabhava Janita Vapasasya Dosha. That means you look at a Vaishnava, suppose he has a certain disease, let us say. Oh, this person has certain disease. How can the disease come if he is a Vaishnava? Vaishnava is above all this. So this is another Vaishnava aparadha. So like this, trying to find the known existing faults, so-called faults in a Vaishnava. That is a Vaishnava aparadha. And the next stage is adding to them your own conceptions, and then you try to give an interpretation. This means this he must have done. So that is why this is there. So this is another stage. So this is like fault finding, professionally finding faults, as if someone has appointed you to find fault. And the next level of offense is actually blaspheming Vaishnavas. Finding fault, you don't actually say anything, but it is all going on in your mind. But blasphemy means you actually criticize that particular Vaishnava. And the next stage is you actually hurt the Vaishnava physically. Physically or spiritually you try to hurt the Vaishnava. And the next and last and an irreversible stage is killing the Vaishnava. So these are various levels of Vaishnava aparadha. So all of us, because of our mentality, we commit one or the other of these Vaishnava aparadhas. And we don't even probably know that we are committing Vaishnava aparadha. When we commit Vaishnava aparadha, the results are very, very dangerous. What are the results? We don't feel actually happy in devotion service. This is a very simple thing that each of us can recognize. You don't feel happy, blissful in devotion service. You're always anxious. You're always disturbed, fearful. These are the prominent feelings that one gets when one commits Vaishnava. The simplicity of heart will go away. One always tries to, see things in a very complex manner. That's the result of Vaishnava. So, Shastra very, very, with strong words, they condemn the Vaishnava. Never do Vaishnava.
there is no need to compare with others, even materially. Even spiritually, everybody is potential to give unique pleasure to Krishna.
Yes.
So then, if there is no comparison needed, then why do we need to say that others are better than? We don't need to compare. Everybody is similar to Krishna. Currently, they may be in a lower version. But why does the aspect of respect comes towards others?
Where does the aspect of respect comes?
Because I am also uniquely giving pleasure to Krishna. Currently, I may not be in that position. Everybody else is also similarly. So why the aspect of respect comes like they are?
Giving respect is a natural quality of a Vaishnava. Vaishnava always thinks that he is in the lowest position because he has no confirmed higher position. So it is safe to think that if you have a confirmed higher position, tell me, and I will accept that. You don't have a confirmed higher position, so better to place yourself in the lowest position. This is one reason. Another reason why he keeps in the lowest position, he gets the mercy of everyone. That's another reason. Because he's always a seeker of Kripa, mercy. So he's not comparing with others and then placing in the lowest position. Rather, it is his natural disposition of heart to receive mercy from everyone. So he keeps lowest position, and also that he doesn't have any confirmed higher position. Resolve? Yes.
Generally, we can get education by get our fields and all. Generally, we compare marks, how we are behaving, everything like in our opinion. So this is making us in spiritual also. How I am serving better than him. So that comparisons still carry in that one. So generally, how we can see that is.
There is a gross misconception in the education system that says to bring out the best in others, you have to compare. Actually, comparison doesn't bring out the best. It brings out the worst.
This is Padaya Vadate Vidya.
Huh?
This is
Padaya?
Padaya Vadate.
I don't know where it is said. Who has invented this? These kind of things I'll tell you. Kami Gani word, Mokshagana Gaja. Where is it written? That means you have to be necessarily a Kami to get moksha. This is nonsense, it is. Or it is said in a context which we don't even know, but it is brought out of context and now being presented. Like, work is worship. Where is it said work is worship? Manav Sevaya Madhava Sevaya. So this kind of proclamations are there which are projected so much, and then people are they're lost with this, and then the original Siddhanta is not known. Like even in the spiritual circles, Tattvamasi is not actually the main Siddhanta. Tato Brahma Jijnasa is the first aphorism in the Vedanta Sutra. Tattvamasi is a different principle. So like that, we have invented so many things to project, to give, light, to put it in the center. So, I was thinking about this. Please hear carefully. You draw one line, right? You draw one line. Somebody tells you to make that line bigger without touching the line. What do you do? Huh? Draw another big line, whatever, depending on how you want to view it. Suppose you want to see it as a smaller line, then you have to, without touching it, you have to see it as a smaller line, then you try to draw a bigger line, right? Or you want to see it as a bigger line, then draw another smaller line, right? This is what they do or say. Now I am asking you, without drawing a bigger line or a smaller line, How can you see the line which is right in front of you as a bigger line or a smaller line? Huh? Simple. You go closer, then the line becomes bigger. You go farther, then the line becomes. So there is no need to draw another. That is what life is. Compare yourself with your past. There is no need to compare with another person. There is no need to rub off. There is no need to condemn, self-condemn yourself. So this is very important, especially in dealing with children. The moment you try to rub off this quality of comparison with one another, it leads to very dangerous, traits will come from it. The actual Vedic education is quite different from modern education. Modern education is all about who is the best amongst them. And you keep that position and you make everyone climb that position by kicking others. Right? Vedic education is all about who is best for what. This boy is best for Mridanga playing. This boy is best for singing Narsama Kirtan. This boy is best for, collecting flowers for Krishna. Because he chooses the best flowers. Somebody is best in sleeping in Bhagavatam class. Whatever it is. I'm just giving. So everyone is best for certain things. Because Krishna is very intelligent. You know what is intelligence? Intelligence is in not duplicating. Non-duplication is a sign of intelligence. So if Krishna is creating two people, means there must have been some empowerments, different empowerments in each of these persons. So by comparing, we are actually condemning Krishna's intelligence, basically. So these are some of the things that we should very carefully contemplate to avoid unnecessary offenses. You wanted to ask something?
I'm sorry that I'm asking the same question again. But at least to understand what is best, when you say something is best, and the good, better, best, so there should be comparison. Without comparison, we can't ascertain what is best. So we cannot avoid the comparison in another way. So is it that the healthy comparison which needs to be there, and that comparison which actually brings down should be not taken, or comparison should not be there at all? How do you
All comparison, generally in this world, all the comparison is unhealthy comparison only. If you practically see, that's what it is. You rarely find a healthy comparison. Now, having accepted there is a healthy comparison, what is that healthy comparison? There is always a healthy comparison. That is, what is the best according to scriptures and where you are in comparison with the best. So this comparison is always good for one's spiritual development. The highest standard must be known, and one should compare oneself with the highest standard, which is considered as best healthy comparison. Never try to compare others. It is for own self-assessment. It is not for giving a judgment for others. This comparison. We do this most often. Instead of actually ourselves assessing our level in Krishna consciousness, we try to give judgment. This person is like this, that person is like this. Is it required for us to know everybody's position in Krishna consciousness? Is it useful for us? What do you do with that information? Ask these simple questions. Why should I know everybody's nature? Is he impacting my life? Is he such an important person or contributing person in my life that I should know who he is, what state of Krishna consciousness this person is? We hear about so many devotees who are inconsequential to our life. What is the use of such information? That's why we commit offenses. We gather so much unnecessary information. It's very, very unfortunate because our whole education system, upbringing, even for that matter, if you say, even in activities of Krishna consciousness. So such and such devotee has distributed so many books. So he should be given gold medal because he has distributed so many books. But is it a right evaluation? Number is a right evaluation. Because we don't have any other evaluating method, we are just resorting to number. In a Vaishnava community, we should have better evaluation system than just the number. And if we don't do that, we are encouraging, definitely we are encouraging material comparison. You cannot avoid it. And that will bring about a lot of problems. That will definitely bring material comparison. Oh, that means I will be recognized only if I do this. By hook or crook, I must distribute these books to get applause from others. It may be books, it may be a number of people. There were times in the US, the Bhagavad Gita is shown to a person and told to that person, you by buying this book, you are feeding one person. So they have taken the book, paid the money, threw the Bhagavad Gita in the dustbin of the airport. Is this distribution is number sake you have distributed, but is it considered distribution of Bhagavad Gita? Prabhupada said, you glorify my books and distribute them. Implore people to read them. That is what Prabhupada said. That is the best distribution.
I have also one question. See, it is said in Bhagavatam, Tejiya Samna Doshaya, we should not see faults in the great souls. And we consider everybody is a great soul, so technically, but at times, just the example you said, there are different people are trying to do different style of preaching. Just we were talking about some key cancer program yesterday. Then many devotees went and it's quite popular because they feel that Chiranjeevi is a great person and when he was preached in this program for 2 minutes or something like that and he glorified Prabhupada. The whole program is designed for something else. It's not. How do we then see? If we say we should not see fault, if somebody else also says good, great, then everybody else asking why don't we also do that? Such kind of things.
We're not saying it is great or not great. We have nothing to do with that. Are we pressed about giving a judgment about a particular program?
But people want to repeat once they see somebody else is doing. General question also comes is let us also do it and call another person or do something. We also get into it.
I fully agree with you. What should be done is that we must be very honest with our own expression. In my opinion, in my understanding, I don't see it as contributing to propagation of Krishna consciousness, but there must be some reason behind it which I do not know because I am not the authority, I am not the deciding person. This person must be doing it by the blessing of another person. So please go and ask the person. But if you ask me, in my opinion, in my assessment of Krishna consciousness, it may not be the best in propagating Krishna consciousness. At least not, I have not heard anything like this from Prabhupada's preaching. We always have a reference point. So we are not giving a judgment based on our opinion. We are giving a judgment, not even a judgment, we are just comparing it with the best things that are established by our Acharya. So that is not considered as Vaishnava Aparadha. That is to get some clarity of what is to be done, what is not to be done. But it also has to be done with utmost care. Because our general nature is to criticize. I am better than this person. You see what this person is doing. That nature is very prominent, very prominent. So we immediately issue words. One has to be very measured, not in speech. One has to be very measured in one's own assessment. I don't want to do this. This is very destructive. I don't want to do this. That is why anything negative that is coming from any quarter, better not to entertain it. Raghunath Das Goswami would shut his ears and run away from that place. Anyone speaks any negative, whether it is right or wrong, he doesn't need to know. He just runs it. Do I need to assess this situation? Do I need to assess this person? How is it contributing to my Krishna consciousness? We have to ask this question. But because we are in a society and a big society, so many people come and ask us opinions, etc. We are hard pressed in expressing our opinion, so we have to be extra careful. That is why one should not, leave this to new devotees. An experienced devotee should actually reflect on this and then respond to this kind of situation. If you leave it to any new devotee, then they will say anything. That goes viral. Now, anything you say becomes viral. Isn't it? Anything you say becomes viral.
It's also being recorded.
It's being recorded, by the way. It will also become viral, but I don't mind. I'm not speaking anything against any person. I'm not afraid to speak truth. Many people don't want to speak truth because they don't want controversies. So do some Janaranjan program. ठीक है ना? सब कुछ ठीक है ना? Everything is nice. And you don't touch upon the very important topics which actually bring out the deeper understanding of Krishna consciousness, because there may be a certain amount of controversy in it. We should discuss these things, because these are traits that we see every day in people's lives. In our own life, we see these traits.
How do we deal with people who are having offensive mentality and repeatedly committing offenses?
We should not deal with them. We should not make any friendships with such people. We should just simply avoid it. How do you deal with a snake who is living in your house? Either you leave the house or you take the snake away. ठीक है, we'll make one small, arrangement for this snake. That's all. That's simple. You don't just deal with negative people, offensive people. You just don't deal with them. If we deal with them, you're breeding trouble. No doubt.
Sometimes some people will come to us, Prabhu, this happened with this people, this person, this happened to this person. They may have only 1-2% to share that I had this experience with this person and all this. So if we are among one, two of those persons who we can share, so then and if sometimes we feel troubled with hearing that, so how do we handle it?
Yeah, that's true. It's a very common phenomenon. If you don't hear them, they feel they are left alone. If you hear it, we will be. You will be probably left alone. You will be in trouble. So what to do? What to do? With some close people whom I cannot avoid hearing from. I have a formula. 3:1. That is, if you are speaking one negative about a person, you should speak 3 positive about the person. Only then speak 1 negative. That is allowed. Otherwise, I will not even hear. So finally, you know what? They have been frustrated. This person, where can I manufacture 3 good things to tell one part? Better I don't tell one. That's what I want. That's exactly what I want. Sometimes wife and husband come to my office and they're just about to burst to complain about the other person. That's when I tell them, tell me 3 good qualities of your husband. Finished. Their whole, enthusiasm to say is put on. Either they don't come back to me or they will listen what I say and then go back. So, as responsible Vaishnavas, we should not encourage negative speech. We should not encourage. We should educate them. What is that you are gaining by speaking like this? Your heart, I am sharing my heart. Whom should I share my heart to? Sometimes wives complain to the husband. You are the only person God has given me to share. Fine. You share 100 things you share, but this formula applies. 3:1. This formula applies, then their nonsense will stop. I'm telling you, I've experimented with dash. With everyone I have experimented. This stops. Either they'll write you off or they'll come with proper consciousness. It is not such a rocket science to find faults in the faulty things. Kaler dosha nidhe rajan. From dosha nidhe I found one fault. Is it such a great thing? But from the ocean of faults, if you can find one beautiful thing, that is considered very wonderful. Astini eko mahadguna. So, fault finding is not such a great art. Always remember, fault finding has a role if it is contributing to fault removal. If you cannot remove fault, then don't find fault. You have no right to find fault if you cannot contribute to remove fault. Most of us don't know how to remove fault. Then what do you do with, by finding fault?
One may think that one has the ability to tell others come out of the fault by leading them up. Gets tapped.
Helping others in a superior way will always result in some problem later. We are servants. We are not privileged people who are helping underprivileged people. We are serving for our own purification. I will tell you one small anecdote that which I thought about, which helped me very much, which will probably help others also. You find, in jails, Qaidis are given different engagements, right? Qaidis are given different engagements. Somebody is a carpenter, somebody is, this person, that person. And you also know when they are going through their, time in the jail, they are also given certain amount of money for their work. And that money, what they are given, let us say somebody is a plumber outside the world or a free world takes 1,000 rupees, let us say, per day's work. A Qaidi plumber gets only 50 rupees. You agree with me? Yes or no? Why such a same work, 50 rupees is given to this fellow, 1,000 rupees is given to that fellow? Why? Huh? He's a Qaidi, but the workmanship is same.
When the money is given, he will misuse it.
He is not given immediately, no? And he is released, he is given.
Government is not having money to
Government doesn't have money to give, that is why. No, that's not the reason.
His condition is like
Government is not looking for productivity from these fellows. Government is looking for engagement. If they don't engage like this, then they will kill each other. Right? Just to avoid killing each other, they are giving little money and engagement. Whereas government is looking for productivity from a person who is outside the jail because he is not having criminal mentalities. Similarly, all our preaching is nothing but highly preaching. It is not that, we are very great preachers. If we are not given this preaching, if we are not giving this service, then we will be doing destructive things for our own selves. That is why Krishna very kindly, Acharyas very kindly give us some small services. Small service, big service, whatever it is. These services are for our own purification, not that we are doing any uddhar. If Krishna can send one Prabhupada and uddhar the whole world, do we people required? Are we people required for this? He can send one Prahlad Maharaj, one Prabhupada and one great personality and then sweep the whole world. He doesn't require people like us. But he is keeping people like us also so that we get purified by doing service to others. So we should never think that I am doing great privilege. I am privileged, so I am offering this privilege to others. We should never think. It's an opportunity for me to purify. In fact, to whomever you are serving, they are masters and we are their servants. So they are in a higher position. Even in preaching also, a master can take how much ever, service from you and then you can go to the next man. You cannot say, I have served so much, so you should always be, for Germany, he should be my, associate. Right? A superior devotee doesn't give help thinking that he is superior. The consciousness of a superior devotee is that he doesn't think he is superior. When many people came to pay obeisances to Bhaktisiddhanta, his natural response was Dasos. Prabhupada was speaking in a university where he was speaking about Varnashram Dharma, and then one student rose and said, you are talking about first class, second class, third class, fourth class, which class do you belong to? Prabhupada's spontaneous response is, I am fifth class man, servant of all the four classes. That was his natural disposition of thought. He may speak very authoritatively, he may speak about so many, criticize. The way that Prabhupada has criticized the Mayavadis, nobody has ever criticized like that. He was doing it as a service to Krishna. He was not keeping himself in a higher position, thinking I'm better than, I'm giving judgment, passing on judgment on others. That's not good. It's very offensive.
The combination is difficult to maintain.
We have to learn from Acharyas. It is difficult to maintain, that doesn't mean that we cannot do it. It is difficult to rise early in the morning. Yes? Who very happily rises early in the morning? Tell me. When the 4 o'clock will come, then 3:45 will come. Anybody. Then you don't need alarm only, if you are in that consciousness. But we have to do this for our own purification. Yeah.
How to disagree without offending others?
How to disagree?
The opinions are in the same.
Do we need to disagree? First question is, do we need to disagree? If there is a need to disagree,
Some services are in planning.
yeah, in some discussion, you may express your opinion. Always remember one thing. If you are in a dependent position, don't be stubborn. You express your opinion, leave it up to Krishna.
Depending in what sense?
Depending means you are in a dependent position, like you are not leadership position. You are in a sub-leader position or in a follower position or whatever position that you are in. You always have a right to express, but you don't have a right to demand. And leave it up to Krishna. You have expressed your opinion. And after that, how that opinion is entertained or not entertained, it's up to the superior. One should not be like Karna. Unless you make me the commander, I will not participate in the Mahabharata. Karna declared like this. Because you have made Bhishma as the commander-in-chief, I will not participate in the Yuddha. Sometimes we do like this, isn't it? My way is highway, I say you must follow. If you don't follow, I will not do the service. Keep somebody else for that. This is very bad. We don't think it is bad, but it is very bad. We can make so much advancement if we avoid these things. These fundamental, rudimentary things if we can avoid. Better to work on the fundamental things than the repercussions of not, following the fundamentals. Isn't it? Put the water at the root. If you wanted to see nice greenery. Makes sense? Anything else?
I always say to my your friends are doing more of this one. So will that be considered as a how to handle this kind of situation?
You have to assess, even if you are making a comparison, if you are assessing that the comparison is putting a good effect in others, it's okay. If it is not bringing good effect, it is dangerous. But you should see whether it is bringing good effect or not. And don't habituate comparison to bring good effects.
We
Should not?
offend others.
Yes.
Yeah. So when it comes to us, when you heard, why is offending, why is finding fault, it becomes very difficult to take that any correction.
Absolutely.
Then how to develop that attitude to take correction. And we think that others are superior. So that when they give correction, no matter who is giving correction, still it pinches so much our heart. We are not able to accept, even though it's right, even though we know that that is correct only. That is for improvement only, but it pains so much. How to develop that humble attitude to.
Don't wait till they give corrections. You ask corrections. Then your false ego will be less hurt. Make a habit of asking corrections, seeking corrections. Prabhu, I must be doing many mistakes, but out of your kindness you may not be pointing out. Please kindly point out at least one so that I can improve on that. If you make a habit like this, you feel so happy getting correct. Because you only ask for it. So it will not be pinching.
When they ask, it will not be. But at an unexpected time, correction.
I'll tell you what happens. When you ask, you don't ask, you actually demand it. Prabhu, I have asked, but you have not responded. That is an artificial expression of asking corrections. You ask corrections at the right time, a matured man will tell you what to do, what not to do. Then you remember that I have actually asked for it. And for those who give corrections, don't wait when this man will ask. Last 10 years I've been waiting for this, when will you ask? That means he's already burning, meant to give correction. Don't do this. Then you'll hold the process of seeking correction you are putting off. Never do this. Don't just jump on when somebody asks correction. In the neophyte condition, even though we don't like it, but because we heard in the class we should seek correction, so he with great, gathers all the humility in his heart and then comes and asks correction. And then, but one full once he asked, and then you just fall upon that person and then give 10 corrections. He will never come back. He will never come. So those who also give corrections, they have to be careful. not to simply just say the corrections. Rather, carefully think, so much sincerity is there in this person to come and ask me. I must actually, serve this person. So let me think properly and let me take a proper time to say this to this person. What will be the community? Such a beautiful community can be formed with all these principles. If every member of the community can follow these principles, such a beautiful community can be built. There is a potential to build such a community.
So one last question.
Yeah, thank you. Last, definitely, I'll be looking at the time.
See, normally people think that some devotees are trained or tuned in such a way that if you use the term management, they feel it itself is an offense. Prabhu, I don't want to do this. And many people say this nowadays, because I only want to serve prasadam or cut vegetable and do the chapal seva, things like that. But I don't want to get into it. If you call for the meeting, no, I'm not qualified. And then if too many people think like that, doing anything like big for Prabhupada or Krishna, it's very difficult. So there's a systematic training also, like in some groups, especially in this, don't be in. It's actually, it itself indirectly says that management itself is a bad thing. Or nobody is qualified, that, or I'm not qualified forever in my life. So how do we, if we have to do some things together, even it may be Rath Yatra, it may be Janmashtami, it may be any festival, it may be anything better than what we are doing today, there should be some management, people have to do, some organization, planning and discussion. How do we convince, take up?
I am in management for last 24 years. Management is termed as ever pregnant, never delivering. It is said like that because you are not under loving supervision.
You are not under loving?
Loving supervision. If you are not lovingly supervised by another qualified person, it is actually very dangerous. It will destroy us, actually. All good qualities will be destroyed. That is why people are so much paranoid about this management. And unfortunately, in our system, such loving supervision is missing, to be honest. Prabhupada said, the GBC should stay in each temple for 5-6 days and then find out how the activities are going on, whether everybody is coming for morning program or not, whether everybody is doing sadhana or not, whether their relationships are proper or not. Today our supervision has been reduced to accounts. That's all. Unfortunately. Even that is not there. We are expanding so much, but we don't have qualified, loving superiors, supervisors, who can spend time. So as a result, these managers, they have to take decisions. They don't know whom to consult, what to say, what to do. The superiors are not accessible, or they are not sufficiently accessible, or they are just leave it upon you, you do whatever you want. So it's such an anxious, it takes away your vital energy and then it makes you sick person, basically. So that is why better not to expand too much where you are not under loving supervision. Later on, these very things what we have created becomes a great burden for us. We will not be able to manage. Each one requires a loving superior. Each one requires a loving superior. Where you can express your heart, where you feel peaceful after discussing with that person. Unfortunately, we don't have. If you try to increase too many things, then either you have to become that loving superior, for whom you have to have another loving superior. And if you cannot give such an association to the other person, don't make him a manager. If you make him a manager, you are destroying that person, for sure. I have experienced this, both phases. Phase of being lovingly supervised, phase of being neglected. Both I have experienced. So with that experience I am seeing this. It's true. Management is not such a thing, because management means, at least in material management, you can hire and fire. In spiritual management, it is not like that. You have to go on improving that person while keeping that person in position. Such a difficult thing to do. And you, if you are driven by certain,
Outcomes. Outcomes.
Goals, you feel frustrated to deal with that person because he's taking million years to, improve. But I have to get these things done. So then I'm forced to pull that person out and then put another effective person. And you think he's effective, but he's actually getting affected by his false ego. And he will become an upstart later. So what is our goal? Our goal is to increase the properties and this and that, or our goal is to actually contributing to the finer characteristics of each person. Many people may not agree, ठीक है ये सब नहीं होता है, कुछ सेवा करो, भगवान लेगा, तुम वैकुंठ में जाएगा. Make it a very simplistic thing. The whole Krishna conscious philosophy, you make it a simplistic thing. Then where is the finer development? If you make it so simplistic, there is no finer development. I don't know if it has made sense to you, but it is my experience. I'm not saying that one should not manage. I'm not saying pushing people for management without giving them sufficient backup. Anything you want to say? Say it.
No.
Loving supervision means that, like, looking after their needs or being available when they want us, or like, how do we define this loving supervision?
They should feel sheltered with the person. That you have certain trust that you can run to this person anytime and say anything in your heart, express anything. If you can have one such person, you can do great service. If you even have one such person in your life. Today people are running from pillar to post. Where to go, where to express my heart. But I am given a big service for managing 100. How will I do it? If I don't have that feeling of shelter. Sorry, I've taken a lot of time. I hope it is of some use. Definitely it was useful to me. Your questions contributed a lot to my own introspection. Hope to meet you again some other time when our Krishna decides. Thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yes, Vedanta Chaitanya Prabhu ki jai. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Such an enlightening class. I think everybody's shared their heart and asked questions. Let us chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra loudly 3 times, appreciating Prabhu's service. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you very much. Please keep coming. Please keep us in your prayers.
Please keep inviting.